people on my committee, Julie Spilsbury. Always start off with our guests, and I believe we have two guests from Economic Development, if they could join us at the table. Director Rose and her guest. Thank you. All right, this is ordinance number 1362-2025 as amended by council members Starr, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a forgivable loan agreement with Penrose Holding LLC or its designee to provide economic development assistance to partially finance the construction, pre-development, and renovation costs associated with converting two buildings located in Ward 5 service area into affordable apartments for seniors and families and other associated costs necessary to redevelop the properties. And the amendment states, the amendment is actually on your pads. But I will go ahead and read the amendments. There's no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in the title, line 3, and in section 1, line 2, strike forgivable loan agreement and insert 2 forgivable loan agreements in both places. Number 2, in section 2, line 1, strike loan and insert loans. And in line 2, strike 1362-2025-A and insert 1362-2025-B. Number 3, in section 3, line 1, strike the loan shall not exceed and insert each loan shall not exceed $400,000 for a total amount. Number 4, in section 4, line 3, strike loan, any agreement, security instrument, and other document, and insert loans, any loan agreements, security instruments, or other documents. Number 5, in Section 5, line 2, strike loan and insert loans. Number 6, in line 6, line 4, strike loan application closing the servicing of the loan and insert loan applications closing and servicing of both loans. Number 7, in Section 7, line 1, strike contract and insert contracts. And in line 2, strike transaction and insert transactions. In line number 8, in Section 8, line 1, strike contract and insert contracts. This was dated 10/30/25 by Steve Martinek, Assistant Director of Law. I'm going to read the other companion piece into legislation so that we could just discuss both of them at the same time. The companion piece is ordinance number 1369-2025 by council members Starr, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a tax increment financing agreement with Penrose Holding LLC or its designee to assist with the financing of the Warner and Swayze 1 LLC and Warner and Swayze 2 LLC projects to be located at 5701 Carnegie Avenue to provide for payments to the Cleveland Metropolitan School District and to declare certain improvements to real property to be a public purpose. Director Rose, now your guest with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Chair, I have with me Mr. Edward Peppers, who's the Vice President of Economic Development at Midtown, who is a project partner on this project, the Warner Swayze project. And I've also with me Afoma Zepwe, who is the project manager with our department. Warner Swayze has been a long-standing project. It is, in my opinion, an incredible example of an adaptive reuse project, and I think we're really getting close to the finish line, and it's really exciting. I know that my colleagues in community development have done a ton of work on this. This project has over 20 funding sources, and I will let Mr. Peppers kind of take it from here.
Thank you, Council President and committee. I'll give you a brief overview of where we are now. I know I've presented to this committee, and my colleagues at Penrose have several times over the past few years. Right now, the project, where we stand, we're at a little over $64 million in total project cost. We're looking for a mid-December 2025 close, and that would put us with a 24-month construction period, a 12/27 completion date. This project would have 112 units of affordable housing, and that would be up to 60% AMI, 56 units of family, 56 units of senior.
Okay.
In the future, we would have another phase that would have 28 workforce units, as well as over 20,000 square feet of commercial space. For now, we're just focused on the 112 of LIHTC units that I just mentioned, though.
Okay.
That's really the overview of where we stand now, and we were seeking these numbers because the loan we do need to draw on at closing to help us with pre-development costs. We've been spending money on this for about 10 years now. And looking into the future, the actual TIF is really necessary, as we don't want to get to year 15 when the LIHTC period expires and come back because of the tax cliff that's going to hit. We want to be ahead of the game when the funds expire, when the CRA expires. So we want to have the TIF in place so we're ready for when everything expires. We did find out some really good news today. We found out that we do have a CBA with the city as of today. So that was signed, which was a huge step on behalf of Penrose, the development team, and the city of Cleveland. So we're happy to see that did happen. It was a lot of work on everybody's part, and I think that was a huge step in moving this deal forward and showing the magnitude of what it means to the city of Cleveland. Thank you.
Director Mitchell, did you want to give any feedback about the community benefits agreement?
Yeah, give me again. Haven't been here in a while. How y'all doing?
Good.
All right. The chair, we were excited about this project, as was mentioned, this adaptive reuse. We negotiated a community benefits agreement that is fairly standard. Just to give you some high-level overview, we have a total of basically $13 million of minority, female, and small business spend. This is $64 million project. Of course, we have our Fannie Lewis 20% and our 4% low-income worker requirement, 2 mentor proteges, 6 registered apprentices or pre-apprentices, 4 Cleveland interns, resident interns, which will be paid $20 an hour on this project, 3 community stakeholder meetings, quarterly reports. The other things that are exciting about this project, they're going to be try to use people from the community. One of the things we got, you have the city mission fair right near there, so we're going to try to see how we can incorporate some of those residents into this project. We're also going to have the unbundling, of course, the lead principals in this project. They're going to do a lot of infrastructure stuff, bike lanes, repair and replace deteriorated curbs. As you all know, that area requires a lot of work. So we have a list of like 20 things going on, wayfinding, using replacing the tree canopies that are there, making it look real nice, using LED bulbs, partnering with law enforcement to connect the cameras that are in the neighborhood to be a part of that, to do an RTA, coordinate with our RTA to provide residents with existing transit stops and shelters, and of course the affordable housing that was mentioned, or what we call the workforce housing, from 30% to 60% AMI, that will be there. And let's see, working with Cleveland Public Power to enter an agreement and to do also utility assistance. They're going to try to help with that on the front end. Charging stations. So this is and last but not least, a pre-apprentice and union apprenticeship program where we will try to get new apprentices into the fold, particularly from the community. So this is a robust community benefits agreement that we are particularly proud of.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anything else, Director, before we move to any questions from council? No. Okay. Councilman Hairston, did you have any questions or comments? I know this came through DPS.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As we've heard, we've seen Warner Swayze come before us on several different occasions, fully supportive. Councilman Starr is fully supportive as well. One of the things that I really liked about the expanded CBA was that they're going to unbundle some of the work, and so that way it's not all tied up with one big contractor who then may or may not, trickle that down to smaller MBEs and FBEs and CSBs. And so it's one thing that really stood out to me when they approached me about hearing this through DPS. And so fully supported, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Michael Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. Once the main building is renovated, is there any other structures left that need to be renovated?
It's all one building, Councilman, but there's a second phase that will be renovated. We call it the Wedge Building on
Right.
Carnegie, and that will be the 28 units of workforce as well as the 20,000 square feet.
But in the same building?
It's the same. It's all one building. Yes.
Okay. The reason I'm saying, some might not believe it, but since I've been in council, I've been dealing with that site. Think about that now. From the time of George Voinovich, I've been dealing, as a member of this body, I've been dealing with that Warner and Swayze site. So it's amazing what we've been through from a standpoint of the city with the potential or promises from previous developers and operators. I've lost count of how many people have stepped up or said they were going to do something here or there. So what we're hearing at the table today, in 2025, after 40-plus years, that the last building of the Warner and Swayze complex will be renovated. Is that what we're hearing today?
We are very confident the financing gap will happen, and we are working towards close by mid-December of 2025. Had an excellent call this morning with Economic Development, Community Development, and Chief McNair, so we are all
Okay.
working towards that date.
I'm glad to hear that, because the great pyramids of Egypt were built quicker, okay? The Gaza pyramids were built quicker than the Warner Swayze site. So again, I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Chairman, that things are finally happening after all these years. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the Director, you indicated utility assistance, and this is going to be a Cleveland Public Power project. And what did you mean by utility assistance?
Well, look, through the chair to the council person, let's see, it's listed in here. Pardon me. explore subsidy programs or discounts for low-income households. So they're going to try to explore that, see what potentials exist for that.
And Mr. Chairman, to the Commissioner? Director, I'm sorry. Is that just going to be for residents of the Warner Swayze building? Doesn't Cleveland Public Power offer that anyways?
I'm sorry, repeat.
Cleveland Public Power offers that anyways. So is there something unique about the residents of the Warner Swayze building that we're going to offer something different than we offer anybody else?
Through the chair to the councilperson, I think it's the opportunity to help them do that if needed. That's how I read that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Councilman Charles Slife.
Thank you. I had a question and a follow-up, but the first question was answered that its affordability is defined as up to 60%, which if I do my algebra is, say, about $1,000, that's for a unit. It's crazy that's what we define as affordable, but that's a different conversation. My question then for us is, and please correct me if I'm wrong and I'm just missing it somewhere. I don't see in the legislation or any of the legislative file where it does define what it just says that there will be affordable units, but it doesn't say affordable units at the 60%. Is that something we typically include within the legislation? Is that within the city contract? Are we held to it regardless because of OFA? Can someone just walk me through what the assurance is moving forward that level of affordability would maintain itself over the duration of the period?
Through the chair to the councilman, it is my understanding that yes, we are partnering with our CD on this project. This is a collaborative work, and our community development department actually monitors for that affordability component. There is a piece of legislation that is now in place that actually penalizes them if they don't meet that particular requirement. And so they are committed to it, but there's also steps in the law to hold them accountable, and there are specific penalties if they don't.
Okay, and by this next question, I'm not assuming there's anything unforetold, I'm just trying to make sure I understand. If we're currently saying affordable is 60%, at some point down the road, could affordability be redefined at 80% and it still meets the letter of the law because we didn't define affordability on the forefront, or would that be in the contract? Or is there, I guess I'm trying to understand if there's a volatility to that 60%, or if this is structured to have that maintained through the period.
Actually, Councilman, through OPA, there's two 9% tax credit awards, and it went through, per the guidelines I just went, up to 60%. So at a bare minimum, for the 15-year first affordable period, it is locked at that.
Okay. Thank you. Thinking in lifetime.
All right, any other questions? Councilman,
Mr. Peppers, I was going to give the example just as he gave. When you're applying for certain products, like through OFA, 9%, 4%, there is limits that you can go up to. There is thresholds, there are ceilings, there's all type of parameters set around when you're applying for certain types of funding. And because of the percentage that they're applying for, restricts them and allows them only go up to a certain point. And that's why it's important these LIHTCs deal when you have so many other streams of support for the project that makes it work to pencil out. Because if it's simply based on 2 or 3 pieces of funding, it'll never work, right? Because they're so tight. And so just wanted to add in what Mr. Peppers explained. Thank you.
yeah, all right, thank you. Any other questions regarding any of these companion pieces, 1362 or 1369? All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1362 and 1369 dash 2025 stand approved. Please sign on. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is ordinance number 1073-2025 by council members Bishop and Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the mayor and the commissioner of purchases and supplies to sell certain city-owned property no longer needed for the city's public use located at the terminus of Byrne Avenue to Greg Cause I don't know how to say that. CZNADEL Canado, for the purpose of consolidating with existing land to be used for green space and garden development. Director and Commissioner.
To the chair and to the committee, we have Commissioner Suzanne DeGenero here. She will give more details and information about this request.
Good afternoon. This legislation would authorize the Director of the Mayor's Office of Capital Projects to sell a remnant piece of land that's left over from the development of the Jennings Freeway. It's located in Old Brooklyn, north of Spring Road, west of Jennings. It's a very small sliver of land. It's about 26 feet wide by about 95 feet. It's unbuildable, and it's located in between two lots that are owned by Mr. Snadel. He is interested in purchasing this little sliver to connect the rest of his land. We're going to require him to consolidate all of his parcels, and he wishes to use the land for green space and gardens. He does have gardens on his existing parcels, which are actually quite nice, and he intends to purchase the property for fair market value of $500.
Okay. All right, thank you. Councilman Hairston, this is relieved by DPS.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we also heard this MSP this morning when Councilman Bishop's committee unanimously supported. We did have questions around, market rate versus, when we have somebody who's taking care of the property, what that looks like. And so we had a very robust discussion earlier, and so we expect to have some information back. But the committee was fully supportive of this piece as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bishop, did you have any remarks?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We vetted this at MSP this morning, and we fully support it for passage.
Thank you. Seeing, and what area is this in again?
Old Brooklyn.
Old Brooklyn. Is Councilman?
12.
Is it 12? Is Councilwoman Mara has supported this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Okay.
Yes, Councilwoman Mars fully support this piece of for passage.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1073-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next, we have Public Works. And we have ordinance number 1350-2025 by council members.
1310, or are you doing that under?
1310. Inez, do you know where 1310 is at? I don't have it in my box. Oh, 1310 is actually under community development. So that's coming up next with
Mr.
1310.
Chair, that's because MOCAP handled it earlier for CD.
Say it again?
MOCAP handled it earlier, and our attorney, Jennifer O'Leary, handled that piece this morning for CD.
Okay, so
That's
do we
why I
need
was-
both of them at the table? Or?
You'll call.
All right, all parties with 1310 can come up here then, and I'll just do Public Works after that. All right. First one is ordinance number, so are these companion pieces, the 1250, 1225, and 1310?
To the chair now.
All right. So then 1310, ordinance number 1310-2025 by Councilmember Spencer. An emergency ordinance requiring the Director of the Department of Community Development and/or Director of Finance upon receipt of any voluntary payment in lieu by Heirloom Company to deposit such payments for the sole purpose of Herman Park renovation and site improvements. Who would like to take first crack at this?
I will, through the chair to the committee. This is Councilwoman Spencer's piece, and it is in preparation for a Herman Park renovation and site improvement in the future. She's already set aside $200,000 of her NEF funds for the Herman Park renovation, and this is directing community development or finance to direct funds from a PIL payment from a tax abatement into a fund solely for the purpose of renovating Herman Park.
Okay.
So capital projects is involved in the future development of Herman Park, and there'll be future legislation coming back for a public improvement project for that. They have a preliminary estimate of $585,000 for that, but that's subject to change. And then meanwhile, Community Development granted a tax abatement to a project right by the Herman Park, and they are going to be paying $660,000 in payment in lieu of affordable housing requirements. So really what this piece does is just direct that PIL payment towards a Herman Park fund.
Okay.
That's
Thank
the overview.
Assistant Director, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
No, I have nothing to add.
Okay, Director? All right, this was relieved by the DPS. Councilman Harrison, did you have any remarks?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we did relieve it, and for the sake of time, I was asked by my colleague to consider, and so we granted that request. As I said earlier, the intent of the payment in lieu was not to have individuals simply build that a part of their pro forma in their project costs, was really to drive affordability to particular areas of the city that was experiencing a very low affordable unit count. Unfortunately, this developer decided that they would make the payment in lieu for the reasons that Councilwoman Spencer stated earlier. Heard it loud and clear, and this would be our first payment in lieu of affordability as it relates to the tax abatement side since we made the changes to the tax abatement overall. Just to keep in mind to the committee, I won't be here, but as you all look, in the next few years, we'll have to come back around and review the tax abatement policy again, whether you're going to make additions, subtractions, regarding, the way we set it up, a couple years ago. So that's all for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bishop, did you have any remarks?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We fully vetted this in Municipal Services this morning. We had quite a bit of questions as it regards to this payment in lieu. But we were satisfied with the goal of Councilwoman Spencer, what she's trying to get accomplished here, and we fully support it for passage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Councilwoman Spencer, I know this is in your ward and your project. Did you want to make remarks now? Because I do have one person, or did you want to close out with remarks?
I can close out. That's fine.
Okay, Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the Director, one of the questions that we had this morning in regards to this that we couldn't get answered was these payment in lieus that will be coming into the city from developers. Are those dollars that will be allocated for that neighborhood, wherever the development is going? Is it something that can be used citywide? I know that each payment in lieu will have to come before the council, but does it stay within that council person's ward? I mean, we just were powwowing about that this morning, and I think people were deferring to you. So now that you're here, if we could just have you comment on that.
Yes, so thank you, Councilman, through the chair. As Councilman Harrison stated, this will be our first ever. So we haven't done this before, right? Per the legislation that was passed for tax abatement, I do believe that it gives us the ability to do it citywide. What I would say is that it would come to this table as a negotiation as we are getting those payment in lieus. As they come through this table, I think it would make sense to see where those payments are best. So, for example, if we are doing this in a high pressure area where we really want to drive affordability, we want to be able to get these dollars to go towards where we need affordability the most, which may be in the projects ward, it may not be in the projects ward. And so this gives us, this original legislation gives us flexibility to do that. For this agreement, I think it makes complete sense that this is being directed by the councilwoman, and she's in support of it, and we are supportive of it as well.
No, and I get that. And Mr. Chairman, again, I'm not against the project. Because this is our first one, but here we have, somebody who's not building affordable housing and then reinvesting back into the neighborhood, so you won't have affordable housing, and now you're going to have an upgraded project in that neighborhood that the individuals who are not paying affordable are going to benefit from it. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, I get the whole thing, but I think that there needs to be further discussion on these payment in lieu going forward as to how we spend the dollars. Because from a bird's eye view, it just looks like a big developer doesn't want to put affordable housing in, and he's just going to pay his payment in lieu. And now, oh, by the way, I'm going to upgrade this park that has been there for years and has benefited everybody else in the neighborhood. But now that we're bringing in different people or more people who aren't paying affordable housing prices, that they can afford a little bit more, now we're upgrading the neighborhood for them as well. I think it's a slippery slope that we need to just keep an eye on going forward, if that makes sense. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I completely concur with Councilman Casey's comments and with Chairman Hairston's comments on this. I think the original intent of the tax abatement law was to promote affordability in high-pressure areas. That said, the current law does allow the developer to make this lump sum payment in lieu instead of creating those affordable units. So this council will have an interesting opportunity. I believe that our current law has a sunset clause, and that tax abatement will need to come forward again in 2027. So this council could choose to further reform the law and add on restrictions or add additional requirements based on what we've seen. But this truly is the first project citywide, so it's an interesting experiment. I would just also want to say that this piece is meant to be a companion piece, which I was very grateful to have my colleagues' support for. Last week, or maybe it was even 2 weeks ago, we passed 1307-2025, which would rename Herman Park as Judge Raymond L. Pianka Park at the time of the completion of park improvements. So there's some interplay here between these two pieces, because Herman Park is not actually in the city's capital improvement plan, and nor is it in the current Parks and Recreation Master Plan. It is not slated for investment. And so this is an effort to, this is a legacy park in Judge Pianka's neighborhood, and this is an effort to bring investment to this park. However, we're probably 2 years out at least from getting this payment in lieu, because it's at the time of certificate of occupancy. So this is really just trying to look ahead and have resources in place to fund park improvements, which are badly needed when that time comes. But I really do agree with the spirit of my colleagues' comments. I think that every single project and payment in lieu should be negotiated separately, and absolutely there could be a citywide application of those funds. There is nothing that requires us to keep those funds in the certain ward. In this case, I'm asking colleagues for their support and consideration to make these park improvements, and then at that time rename. We've already approved a renaming of the park for Judge Pianka. One other comment, if I may, Mr. Chair, to address what Councilman Casey said. This developer actually had no input on this piece of legislation and where their PIL would be directed. This is different from a community benefits agreement. Council directs where the PILs go. Developers do not. And so I would anticipate that this park improvement is not to benefit the developer. It is not to benefit his future tenants. It is to benefit the community to have a deserved park improvement. So just wanting to clarify that the developer, by our own laws, has no input on where a PIL will be directed, if that's helpful. And thank you for everyone for your consideration and support today.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1310-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Next is ordinance number 1225-2025, as amended by Councilmembers Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to amend the title of ordinance number 858-2025, passed July 9th, 2025, relating to budget allocations received from HUD for the 2025 Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships Act Grant. Emergency Solutions Grant, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Grant, to supplement the ordinance by adding new sections 3 to 10 relating to the grants, and to renumber existing section 3 to new section 11. And the amendment is as follows. Well, actually, there's several amendments on here. Please look at your tablets for the amendments. There are approximately 7 amendments. I'll try to spin through them real quick. There is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in the first whereas clause, line 2, after community, insert development. 2, section 3, add new section 3 entitled 2025 programs at the end between ordinance and the period, insert with the entries listed as described in file number 1225-2025-A. Number 3, in section 3, add new section 4 at CDBG funding. In the first column, at systemic poverty, youth violence, poverty, and accessibility among elderly, other public services. Strike systemic and insert systemic. Strike systematic and insert systemic. And also in the first column, at neighborhood development grants, insert activities after development. Number 4, in section 3, at new section 6, in the second paragraph following division B, line 1, insert C before that. Number 5, in section 3, at new section 8, at division B, line 2, strike 14 SF 050 and insert 14 SF 051. Number 6, in section 3, at new section 8, at division C, line 2, strike 15 SF 374 and insert 15 SF 471. Number 7, in section 3, at new section 8, at division D, line 2, strike 15 SF 375 and insert 15 SF 470. Date 10/23/25, signed George Peters, Assistant Director of Law. All right, Director and both directors.
Thank you. I will not read out my full statement that I read at committee last time, but I do want to first say, Council President, thank you and good afternoon, and to members of diversity, finance and diversity. So thank you for the opportunity to present the Department of Community Development's 2025 HUD entitlement budget. Our goal today is to receive your approval to expend the nearly $28 million in Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, and get these much-needed dollars where they're supposed to be, which is out in the community, to benefit our Cleveland residents and neighborhoods. The vast majority of our funding comes from a single federal source, the Community Development Block Grant Program through HUD, for more than 50 years. CDBG has provided these foundational local investments in housing, neighborhood revitalization, and essential community services. So again, uninterrupted for nearly 50 years, or over 50 years. But over the past year, we faced prolonged federal uncertainty, shutdown threats, an actual shutdown, continuing resolutions, and potential cuts that directly affect our operations and, more importantly, the residents that we serve. We spent much of the first half of this year not knowing if or how much funding we would receive, and that uncertainty surely makes it difficult to hire and retain staff, and certainly takes a toll on morale. I want to take this moment to recognize the incredible women and men of the Department of Community Development who continue to show up every single day with professionalism and compassion and resolve, even in this tough year where we have experienced loss. Despite these challenges, our department continues to make meaningful progress towards our mission, creating quality housing and vibrant neighborhoods that serve as a foundation for generational wealth and community prosperity. For program year 2025-26, we have received $19.46 million in CDBG funds, $4.25 million in home funds, $1.76 million in ESG, or Emergency Solutions Grant funds, and $2.37 million in HOPWA funds, totaling just under $28 million in HUD formula grants. Every dollar of this budget is targeted to sustain the programs that matter to us most. both on my side of 601 as well as yours. Home repair and lead hazard mitigation that allows residents to remain safely in their homes. Investments to our housing trust fund to make affordable housing viable. Neighborhood development activities and citywide assistance grants that keep our CDCs and other nonprofit partners strong and able to support the communities. And public service programs that provide food, shelter, and essential support for Clevelanders in need. Our federal resources this year has remained relatively flat. We have refused to stand still, even in that regard. Under Mayor Bibb's leadership, we are pursuing bold and forward-thinking vision for equitable development and thriving neighborhoods in every corner of this city. We have launched many projects, which we talked about in the committee, which I don't want to get into now, but I'm happy to talk more about them. But in closing, I just want to remark that even in this year where we've been marked by some significant challenges, I remain hopeful because the strength of our people, the leadership of this administration and this council, and the shared determination across the city make Cleveland a place where every resident can thrive. So with that, I just want to, again, reorient us. The goal of passing this legislation is to receive expend authority. This is on top of the authority that this council already granted in the summertime. That was to apply and accept for funding from HUD. We have now received those funds. And this is so that we can get these dollars out the door to our community members. You all have had our budget book, and I'm happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilman Hairston, any remarks?
Thank you. Mr. President, as the director indicated, we had a slight reduction, not from anything on our part, but just everything that's going on in Washington. We're just glad that we were able to receive this allocation this year. We all know how much uncertainty was centered around these dollars and the funding that we received from the federal government. And so I'm just glad that we were able to receive these dollars this year to allow us a little bit more time to plan forward for into the future. Just to note a few points, we did hear this last Thursday. I wanted to make sure that we got this in, get it heard now, so that way it can be heard and potentially passed today on Monday and not being able to not pushing this back another week or 2 weeks. We really wanted to be able to support the CDCs and the work that they do, make sure that senior transportation connection can get their dollars, that the community gardens will be funded and contracted, hopefully well ahead of time, so that projects like that can continue. Our HOPA dollars that are very important to a particular population that we support, and including our ESG dollars that we support organizations as well. Again, understanding all of those things, we made sure that we heard and got through this funding, the expend ordinance for CD. So if anybody comes and calls and says that City Council is holding up HOPA dollars, community garden dollars, you tell them that's a bold-faced lie. Okay, because we are working collaboratively with the administration to get these funds out the door. And so with that being said, Mr. Chair, the percentages are the same as they were from previous year. So there hasn't been a reduction as it relates to the amount of the percentage per category, including our NDA dollars that we get to support CDCs. It's a lower dollar amount, not because of a change in the percentage that is allocated for that, but more so there was a reduction, almost $3 million reduction that came from the HUD side itself with the dollars. And so very note to important as we look at the numbers. Administration stays the same, NDA dollar stays the same across the board. Where you do see a change is the activity grants that the department provides for the different CDCs. That was that $2 million that we end up supporting the CDCs with using general fund dollars versus block grant dollars. That is that additional support that the department gives to the CDC for administrative allocation. So that's the only big change that you see, and that has been redistributed across other areas across the CBG budget. So with that being said, Mr. Chair, nothing further on that. However, to the director, Mr. Titron did make, I believe, a few requests that he sent over to the department after meeting Thursday.
They were informational, not fiscal.
Okay. Informational requests that we sent over. So can you please make sure that we get a response to those answers, as we move forward? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Michael Palencia.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, and to the administration. I appreciate my colleague, Councilman Harrison, for his explanation as to what we've experienced. To the director, as a result of the ongoing reduction in block grant, how many vacancies do you have upstairs now?
So we are, through our last reorganization, we have 111 total, is what would be our ideal, is 111 fully. We have never gotten to that amount, so I just want to be really clear on
Right.
that. So right now, and this answers one of the questions that came through, so I can address that now through this question, Council President. So for the 2024 budget book, the head count for last year was 82. Currently, we have 78 full-time employees. We also have 2 Fuse Fellows, 1 Cleveland Foundation Fellow, 1 student intern from St. Martin de Porres. That's where we are. We've had, and this is through the chair. This is in spite of having a bit of turmoil this year, and we spent a good bit of the year where I put us on a hiring freeze, not being sure what our funding would look like.
So again, as of this point in 2025, right now, in November, you have 78 staff people, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And where is your greatest efficiency in staff at this point?
Through the chair, it really is all throughout the department. I would say at our highest level, just given some of the most recent departures, it's really at the leadership level.
Okay.
And that's where we are hardest hit at the moment. And so, for example, last year, I had 2 assistant directors. Right now, I do not have any assistant directors. We're down our bureau chief level, so that's that next level on our leadership team. So Tony Bango just recently left us.
Yes, I'm aware.
And so that is, we're certainly feeling the impact of that. We're certainly happy that he was able to forward his career and are very supportive, and he still answers our calls. But we've had at the leadership level, yes.
But, Mr. Chairman, to the director, you obviously know what the concerns are as council, especially as it pertains to processing the critical operations and projects and programs that we fund through block grant in the wards. So what I'm trying to understand as we go into this new budget round, obviously it's before us right now, but as we go into next year, can you give us any ray of hope that you're going to be able to move things quicker in light of you had budget 111 staff. You're at 78. Can you give us some snapshot in time as to what you think you'll be doing? Because you know how long it takes to get stuff through.
Yes,
Okay.
through the chair,
Okay.
fully acknowledge that. I talked a little bit more in depth at our past hearing.
Right.
It has been a tough year to hire folks, right? It is not attractive to hire high talented quality folks into this system where we know that there's a lot of uncertainty. That is just a reality. I would love to sit here, councilman, and tell you that there's a rosier picture on the horizon. I do not know that to be true. I can be certainly hopeful. I can try to read the political tea leaves, but I cannot tell you that we are going to have a much different scenario in terms of being able to recruit and keep good folks here.
Okay.
But we do this work very quickly. What I am proud of is that we have onboarded in the past, I don't even know, few weeks now, and maybe about the past month or two, we've had like a dozen new people to come in. And that was after we raised the hiring freeze at some point in the midsummer. So we have people, I had 2 new people start today. every single day, we have new folks started, and the folks that are here remain dedicated.
So, Mr. Chairman, I won't belabor the points. The 78, does that reflect the 2 new people, or that's what we are prior to that?
Probably prior to that, through the chair.
So you will leave, and I guess to Chief McNair, you think that the administration, what I want to make sure that critical positions are being filled. That's what, whether it be in community development or wherever, in each department division, critical departments and divisions as it pertains to delivery of services, getting programs through the process. Because, you know, we allocate funds for various groups, nonprofits, you name it. And it's been, man, it's like trying to part Lake Erie, trying to get stuff through the process here. We got to improve upon that. Time is money. And so at the end of the day, I just want to have, somehow want to have assurance as we go into the budget round, Mr. Chairman. These are some of the issues that I'm going to be asking more frequently as it pertains to critical departments and divisions. What are we doing to make sure we ramp up critical sections in CD so we can move programming and get funds out into the neighborhood, groups, organizations, et cetera, capital projects, whatever it may be. We have to be able to do that. And my frustration level is growing because it takes so doggone long to get stuff done around here. That's where I'm at, Mr. Chairman. So I guess I'm looking for assurances, but again, I guess it's trust but verify at some point here. So thank you.
Council President, to Councilman Plentik, trust me, I understand your frustration. I wanted to say, one, first and foremost, very grateful for Director Hernandez and her team, who I think have been through an awful lot this year and have worked very hard to get things forward. I think that we're all in the position that we are in today because of the federal government and how far behind they are in this. But I also want you all to know that this work is critically important. You know that. It's also critically important to me. You know, I have been in this role for about all of 5 or 6 weeks at this point. I have spent an exceptional amount of time with Director Hernandez and trying to better understand where the pain points and pinch points in her department is. Okay. I believe it is a core part of my job, if not the most important part of my job, to help our departments reach their maximum level of efficiency. And I am committed to working with the Department of Community Development and the other departments in this cluster to get where they need to be.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilman Kevin Conwell.
You know, piggybacking on what you're saying, and it's just a culture to the chair, to the director, even before you got there, of that department. You know, and you know this also, when money come in late, super late, for our CDCs or for a project, sometime the department will kill a project, or you will create time constraints to a program or a project, and it hurts the community, and you're there to help the community, to the chair, to the director. But it's the culture of not executing this in your department, and you inherited that culture as well through the chair to the director. But how can we make it more efficiency so that they could, and get it out on time?
Through the chair, we have been driving towards efficiency over the past 3.5 years since I have been there. That is what I can speak to. The reality is our funding is complicated, right? CDBG funding has a lot of different levels. For every contract that we have environmental reviews, we have 3 or 4 additional layers on these dollars, and that is the reality of the funds. I have not witnessed any staff or culture of intentionally stopping projects from going forward. It's been quite the opposite. We have worked really, really hard to get dollars out the door. For example, we answered the need, and earlier this year when we asked for general funding, I came to this council to get general funding to our CDCs because we knew that it was absolutely critical. We were able to get those dollars out the door, right, quickly in partnership with our folks. So a few things are happening. One, yes, it's very complicated, but 2, we have been improving those processes, and every new hire that we have, they are embedded with this goal of how do we free things up. There are a few key hires that I'd like to highlight. that are helping to ease this process. The first is we've hired a compliance manager.
Compliance is good.
And that is, his goal is to help move projects through, so he is helping work with our team. Right now, we have 2 environmental review folks on the team. We are hiring more, right? But there's a lot of work for those 2 folks to do. Additionally, we have hired more grant managers this year, and we have 2 more budget folks than we have previously had. So while I don't currently have a budget manager, I have 2 more budget folks that are working to make sure that the transactions go through. I can tell you program by program that we have done what we need to do to help make the process much smoother. We are not exactly where we want to be. As you mentioned, we are coming in at quite a deficit, but we have made a lot of headway.
Yeah. So with this compliance manager, do the chair, you have 1, or are we looking at 3 or 4? You have a compliance manager, and he is managing how many people? And how do you have a system to evaluate the compliance manager to make sure that we are hitting our benchmarks?
Yeah.
To the chair.
Through the chair, the compliance manager manages a team of, I'm going to say 5. And so that is our URA. There's a half. There's a part-time person in there as well, so it's probably 5.5 that are under that compliance manager. We have evaluations, even when we did not have evaluations citywide. Since 2022, since my first year here, we did end-of-the-year evaluations. We have done that through the entire department every year since I have been here. So that helps with that accountability piece of it. The other piece is in who we're hiring and how we're trying to recruit folks, and when they get here, what we're doing when they get here to help get them in the right direction. We are working on all of that and have really found some successes through some of those new hires and our folks that have been here who have been dedicated to the department for a long time.
So with your evaluation through the chair, do they bring it to you? Do you monitor over the compliance to make sure that they're hitting their goals and objectives? Because I think if you, like in your evaluation process, you have certain dependencies that they gotta hit to make sure that Flamenco's receive their funding, because Flamenco's foundation had close to $1 million they were behind, and it really, really hurt our the Glenville, Collinwood, and even Ward 1 community by that not being evaluated. Through the chair to the director.
Through the chair, it is certainly more than compliance to get any of these projects done. Each project touches probably a dozen people in my department. Through the different accounting, we've got our grant managers, we have compliance, we've got different people in compliance that may need to touch a project. So these are high-touch projects. I do want to note that. Certainly more than just our compliance folks, but I do meet weekly. And compliance being one of the pinch points, even throughout our, losing some of our key staff, I have actually taken over compliance. So compliance manager reports directly to me.
I was hoping that.
And I meet on a weekly basis with our compliance manager and our environmental review teams. We are also working across many of our programs with Urban AI to get those key indicators for each of our programs. As you know, Councilman, we have a lot of different programs with a lot of different KPIs and a lot of information. So it's taking some time to make sure that each and every one of our programs have that, but we are working diligently towards that.
So to the chair on the programs, that was my next question to you. How many programs are allowed? When I first got here, and now, when Mike Polinsky first got here 50 years ago,
Thank you.
you had so many programs, meaning 70 to 72 programs, whatever the case may be. Now, I think we only have 5 or 6, that's my assumption to the chair.
Through the chair, so we still have many, many programs. I often describe the Department of Community Development as being both deep and wide. Wide being that there are many different programs. We have at least 24 what I would call programs. So we have, I mean, everything from, you know, some of the financial literacy, all the way to tax abatement, land bank right now. There's a lot of programs, as well as, you know, casino funds sometimes come through, many of our other programs come through the department. So there are many, many programs. I believe what you are talking about, Councilman, is the activity, it's like an activity code.
Right,
and
right.
of the
'Cause
many
I
things.
don't know your world, but I'm trying to get into it.
I got you,
Right.
Councilman. Through the chair, of those many activity codes, when I first came on, there were several dozen activity codes, and we did work to reduce those for some of our partners. So most notably with our CDCs, and that is because we were not meeting the CDCs and other partners were not meeting the goals of each of those. And so the goal was to consolidate, focus in, and to narrow so that we could focus in on some core activities so that we weren't doing everything for everybody and doing not enough of it good enough.
Okay, you took it, you broke it down. Can you, when you had a meeting with the chairperson, Anthony Harrison, did you bring in those cores so that the committee, through the chair, so the committee would be able to see it? Because you broke them down. It was 12. Now, I think it's 5 activities or 6, where it used to be 20 to 30, and I think that hurt our neighborhood. Through the chair, you want to answer, or you want the chairman to answer?
I can, Chairman.
Thank you. So when we went through the process in last cycle, the cycle before last, when Assistant Director Wackers was here, there is still a number of allowable uses of the allowable categories, rather, for CDBG. However, as the department went through their restructuring and their consolidation and all the changes that they went through, they asked to reduce the number of allowable uses that CDCs can apply for, with the hope that it yields more results, right, greater efficiency out of the development corporation, so that way they can receive reimbursement, so they can be able to provide services to the community. Now, it's going to be on this council to review the progress of the CDC since the changes that have been made. After 2026, I'll be gone. To determine whether the reducing the number of allowable categories to, what is it, 3 plus 1? 3 categories and one additional, I believe it is. Am I right, Joe? 3 plus 1? Yes. Yes, 3.1, yes, that's correct. So 3.1, and the 1 being an additional one that was not a part of the 3 buckets, because it's centered on housing, it's centered on other aspects that has been the key issues for us throughout the neighborhoods. And so, again, this body's going to have to review those coming up next year to see whether they're going to work with the department to add additional boxes or categories for CDCs to be able to apply for and receive reimbursements for the works we're doing in the neighborhood. So yes, they brought the action plan to us. Council as a whole, not only through committee, but through finance and also through the body as a whole, had to approve the action plan that was submitted to HUD for approval.
You did?
Yes, through the chair, yes. Each year, we come through with an action plan, and every 5 years, there's a consolidated action plan that comes through, yes.
You know, through the chair, things change. For example, what do you use through the chair to evaluate the buckets that you might need? For example, Glenville may be different than Tremont. You know what we need. And sometimes you could look at 311, because it can evaluate also when we call in, or even 211, because it's in real-time movement, and you can look at that as indicators to do our buckets. Do you think? I don't know, I'm you, but I mean, I'm trying to figure it out, because you need something to evaluate. You said, Director, that you have a development, not a development officer, a compliance officer, so they're looking at evaluation processes. Through the chair to the director.
Through the chair, we undergo many evaluations throughout the year. We are probably one of the most evaluated departments because we have oversight at several levels. And so on an annual basis, we will have a HUD monitoring or a site visit, and so we are constantly under that evaluation process. And that is in addition to the self-evaluation that we do as we are trying to improve our processes every day.
Yeah, I want to say this, and I'm going to end pretty soon, but I do want to ask you about the payroll savings and the cost of attrition. Through the chair to the director, when people, as Councilmember Mike Polensek, and you know it because you are in the neighborhood, when they don't receive their funding on time, or as people need to call them, tell them, let them, give them progress reviews, what's going on with funding, it hurts. It hurts the community. You talking about community development, it's community undeveloped because they hurt, and it's a lot of abject poverty out there. And when they can't get their money, they come to the Cleveland City Council member, and it's our fault. And even in the community meetings, they blame it on us, on the council member, because they don't know you. You could walk right in the meeting and see us get tore up. We're in the meeting getting tore up, and they blame it on us constantly, and it really hurt us because it's hurting our residents. When they don't get it out the door, it hurts, and it costs even some of the CDCs more money. When that money doesn't hit them, they have to go into their reserves and spend money, but they could have used it to spend on doing whatever to benefit the people in our community. But when it doesn't get out there to places like Famicos or the other CDCs, you're hurting them, man. You're really hurting them, big time. So even when you do your strategy reviews, Tom, you gotta look at that and see. Famicos nowhere in the world, I'm Councilmember Mike Polensek, that it should have got to almost $1 million that we owe them. Nowhere in the world that it should have gotten there. And we should have known, we should have had indicators to tell us that they have not gotten paid. That they have not gotten paid. That pulls money from them, and then they have to say no to the community, and then the community blames Councilmember Anthony Harrison, Councilmember Kevin Conwell, and the rest of my colleagues, because we're not getting it out on time. And that's what Councilmember Mike Polensek was narrating to us. We got to get it out on time. That's our goal.
Through the chair, what I can say anecdotally is that I've certainly heard a major reduction in the amount of complaints from the beginning of my time here on those payments coming out on time to where we are now. It's because we have better processes than we did when I first began. Through those better processes, I can't speak for, I don't have any partners with me at the table, but as I meet with folks, had a meeting with Habitat for Humanity today, met with CHN last week, was meeting with the CDC executive directors. I am not hearing the same amount of complaints, nor the same complaints that I was when I first got here. So I can confidently stand that we are in a much better place with processing than we have been in a generation. Now, I don't have any Google reviews, but I would ask for you to talk to folks in the community and see how things have changed over the past few years in getting these payments out. Are there snags when there are complicated issues? Certainly. We deal with those all the time. But those things are now more of the exception than the rule. And I really, really need to be able to defend my folks and say that we have improved significantly over the past
You know what, Director,
few
to the
years.
chair, I'm not beating up on your folks, but technically I am, because when I'm at True Vine Baptist Church, and when John and Alifo tell me he can't execute because he haven't gotten money out of your office, then guess who get beat up? That's how I evaluate. I evaluate because I get my back taken out. And I evaluate even when I hear my other colleagues talking about the same thing, issues and concerns. You could talk with them. Some of them are afraid to tell you what's going on, but they tell us. And when they tell us, and our residents tell us, and they cannot get their money, then that's frustrating. And then I got a guy here that tells them, we don't hire people, we don't fire people, and we don't train people to get them off our back. And that's what Councilmember Mike Polensek says. And that's why he said earlier, it's coming out of your office. They're afraid to tell you. But we feel it. We feel everything.
So
I'm not trying to beat you up. I go see this guy unannounced to tell him stuff. Isn't that true, Tom?
Yes, sir. Through the chair to Councilman Conwell, I do just want to add, and I think Councilwoman Spencer's likely been in the same situation. I know what it's like to sit on the other end of this, in one of those neighborhood organizations, waiting on funds that have been delayed for a variety of reasons, knowing that you have very little cash reserves, trying to continue to do work. And it's not a very fun position.
Right.
I also have been in this system long enough to know that the way that we administer funds here in the city of Cleveland, it's not just a square peg in a round hole. It's kind of like trying to hit a 4x4 through a pinhole. Right? This is not the most ideal way to utilize these funds, and it doesn't change the fact that people are doing critically important work in our community that is good work that needs to happen. And I think this has been an ongoing conversation for a number of years around the way that we fund this important work in the system. And I know that it's challenging, right? But again, all I can tell you right now is that this is a very important part of my work, is working with Director Hernandez and others and trying to find a way to optimize this as much as humanly possible. But I think she is also right. I have always found this is not necessarily a person X inside the city of Cleveland is bad at their job, and this is why this happens. Oftentimes, there's really good people doing this work, right? But it is really complicated the way that we administer these funds here. So, again, that's been a conversation since long before I got into City Hall. It's one that's ongoing, and it's one that we're aware of, and we are working very hard to try to fix and make work as good as it can possibly work. And the last thing I'll say is, again, I think this is a situation, you have people outside of this building that we use that are contracted artists that are doing great work. They're doing impactful work inside, outside in our neighborhoods, and we want to make sure that we're able to continue to get them funds. But again, we are working very hard to kind of work within the rules of the game that we're given, right?
Yeah. And through the chair, that is why we're here today, right? We're here to get the money that is been allocated from the federal government out onto the streets. And that's why, hopefully we're able to pass this today so we can get that money out. My folks are ready to go with contracts, as are our partners in the community, so that we can move quickly to make sure that we're getting dollars out the door.
Right, but Director, don't take it personal. I also visit your boss as well, and sometimes I visit him unannounced. He look up, he see me looking right at him. Because of money I can't get from my neighborhood. He'll tell you that. So I'm not just talking with you about it. It's frustrating because you're the directors. And it hurt us. And it even hurt me when I was campaigning. You know, your opponent takes because you guys don't execute, and guess what happens? Councilman can't get that out. But I can get it out. But I'm trying to get it out.
Through the chair, Councilman, I also don't want to bury the lead here. We're having this conversation on November 10th instead of February or March because the federal government withheld these funds for, 6, 7 months?
Right.
We didn't even know if we were receiving funds until the end of August. We weren't even able to kind of get this in position until towards the end of September.
Director, I understand that. It's not just this time, it's a constant.
Understood.
When you see things go over and over and over and over again, it's not one time, it's a constant thing that's happening. So we don't want it to continue to keep happening. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, I do, and I will only reiterate that for the first 2 years of this administration, when I was not a part of the administration, I was one of those entities.
You were one of them.
I was, and I do believe that it has gotten better, right? Is it where it needs to be yet? No, but I do believe that it has gotten better, and we are spending an awful lot of time, energy, and effort trying to find a way to optimize this. Because again, I think we are all on the same page that this is quality work and we need to fund it, right? We're all on the same team. And so, again, this is now part of my job, is trying to work with Director Hernandez and others to figure out the best way to move this forward.
Councilman, your
I'm
time's
gonna
up.
wrap it up.
Wrap up.
CP, with payroll through the chair, you mentioned payroll, some people left. Were you able to save through the chair to the director any dollars when you do attrition? Were you able to save any dollars, and would you be able to do a fund transfer?
Through the chair, essentially, no. We have a cap of 20% of the funds, and that's what we use to fund our folks from year to year. We're also at a net zero from not just about a net zero from where we were before. And as we bring in folks, for those of you in the listening audience who are hiring folks now, you were hiring the same folks 2 years earlier at a much lower level than you were today. So everybody that is coming in new is commanding a higher salary. That is just the nature of the workforce nowadays, which isn't so bad when you're also getting a higher quality of person coming in.
Now, we
And
talk
so
about
that's
that
what we.
later. When you get a high-quality person, you got to keep training them, and you know that. You got to change that culture because it fits into the culture. But I'm not beating you up. I'm just.
Not taking it personal. Thank you,
All right,
Councilman.
Thank you, CP, for letting me
All
go
right,
over.
thank you. Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Council President. Appreciate the discussion today. I unfortunately was not able to attend the DPS committee. I apologize to our chairman, Hairston, who held a full vetting of this legislation last Thursday. I did listen to most of it on YouTube, so I was trying to get up to speed for today. I did have a couple of just questions that jumped out as I listened to that hearing. The first is through the chair to the director. I was really curious to learn more about the implementation vendor for home repair that was discussed at many points, and that has really improved the system vis-a-vis getting dollars out to contractors. Was just wanting to be reminded through the chair of who the implementation vendor is.
Through the chair, we did a process about 2 years ago now, and we selected NextGen, which is led by Shakuri Davis, and we have been working with his team. It was a complicated contracting, because this is a new thing for all of us, but we are working, and we have several meetings a week between the two teams to ensure that there's a good handoff. I do want to note that this is not a full handoff of our programs. We are doing the front end as far as intake is concerned. There is a robust middle part, which is hammer and nails, recruiting and getting construction workers in the trades and working with folks to actually get hammer and nails, going through the permitting process. They are doing that. They're doing the majority of that process. There are several points where we come in and check the work, that it is ensuring that there's compliance there, and then we reimburse them on the back end. To close out the activity, both financially with them as well as with HUD, and getting it recorded correctly. And so they are doing the majority. They are, I describe them as general contractor plus, but they are also helping us to do some other things that you might not know, like environmental reviews. I mentioned earlier that we have 2 folks that are doing our environmental reviews for the whole city for these federal funds, and now they have hired. At last count, there were 4 vendors that they were working with that are also doing those environmental reviews. Now we have to do the final sign-off, but the majority of that work can happen through them. And so that is one of the ways that we are helping to gain efficiencies through this process. And we have had a major increase in the number of actual contractors that we are working with. And one of the reasons why is because they can pay them at different segments throughout the process, rather than waiting till a project is fully completed, vetted, compliant, and off to HUD before they get paid. So this is helping our our smaller contractors to get more sophisticated and to be able to participate on jobs or more jobs than they were able to before.
Thank you. That was a great explanation. And just a follow-up question, if there are other small contractors who are interested in city business, what steps would they take to connect with the implementation vendor or get involved through the chair?
They can contact our office through the chair, and they can contact our office. We are always taking in new folks. They can also speak to the folks at NextGen, but why don't folks can come through our office and we'll get them sorted out.
Thank you. Okay, another question has to do with the pause in the intake for home repair applications. Through the chair, wanting to ask about where we are in that and when those applications might reopen.
Yeah. Through the chair, so this is a complicated process. What we talked about at the committee table last week was that we have over 2,000 applications that the team has had to go through and figure out where in the various stages over 5 years, many of them within the last 2 years, but we do have some that are dating back as far as 2020. We are going through every single one of those applications, getting an updated status. We are also working with both Urban AI as well as the Bloomberg I team. I stands for innovation. They are helping us to better process. We're getting an upgraded technology to help ensure that there's visibility on all sides, and we have not had that to date. So that's the process that's happening now. So we have to see how many we can do in a year, and how many we have, and we're going to have to really look at. Are we going to have to be more targeted with what kinds of applications we're accepting? If it's a senior or if it's, and these are complicated things. I can't speak about that until we get that work done. That is what I call the level 0 work, right? And that is, we have to know what we have before I can make a call on, a data-based decision call. And I'm not ready to make that call yet. I have to analyze right now each and every one of our applications, ensure that everybody in the pipeline is good. Where we can, we are getting folks to work with partners where that makes sense. But we first have to get a handle on each and every one of our applicants. And we have to get our arms around having over 2,000 applications and being only able to do a few hundred a year. And that is just our reality. We are oversubscribed for these projects.
Thank you. So through the chair, so in terms of, as we're in this current phase of assessing status of over 2,000 applications, what is the role of the community engagement specialists?
Yeah. Through the chair, thank you for that question. They are playing a tremendous role. We had our weekly meeting this morning and was meeting with Brett who leads our community engagement folks, and they are being deployed to, they're already out in the field oftentimes, but how can we get them to strategically do like drive-by? So we need a certain number of lead applications, or we want to make sure. So I'll give you a clear example. Right now, we have a bunch of applications that are not completed, right? There's documentation that's missing. So we have called, we have emailed, and we sent a letter, and we are doing a drive-by. We are hitting in 4 different ways so that we can, give opportunities before we close anything out administratively. We want to make sure that folks know that they can have access to these services, especially when it's so critical like lead. So our community engagement specialists are being deployed out in the field. The great thing about having a nimble group of folks is that they can pivot as we need them to. So I may need lead applications at this time, then they're going to be going out and deploying into the neighborhood, getting lead applications. I may need to review those applications, right? I may need to do some other type of work. They are able to adapt to meet that need.
Okay, thank you. And then I think my last question is, staffing was talked about earlier this afternoon, but looking at your presentation from last week, I know that these newer roles were created, which were these bureau chief functions. The org chart also seemed to indicate there are assistant directors, and I was curious for clarity on who it seems like there were 2 assistant directors. Who are your 2 assistant directors? Through the chair?
Right now, they are Bert and Ernie. I'm just kidding. I don't have 2 assistant directors right now. I have no assistant directors right now. I have a team of amazing women who are standing by me, and they're my bureau chiefs, and they were here at the table with me last time. And as my mother said, you did a great job, you and all these beautiful women, and Tom. We're here at the table. I would love a man, but there was not a man here at the table. Right now, my leadership team is all women, and we are rocking it.
All right, please thank everybody for their work. Thank you, Director.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1225-2025 as amended stands approved. Thank you. Please sign on.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. All right, next up is ordinance number 1350-2025 by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more standard or requirement contracts for the purchase, lease, or lease with option to purchase of various on-road vehicles, apparatus, and off-road equipment, cabs, bodies, and accessories, equipment, and other aftermarket items necessary to equip the vehicles authorized for their intended purposes, including vehicle rehabilitation, training, and inspection as needed by the Department of Public Works. Director and Commissioners.
All right. Thank you, Chair. We have a piece here. This is a piece to request the purchase of equipment that's going to be related all to our resurfacing and pothole program. Specifically, there are 3 pieces: a pothole roller, an asphalt roller, and a trailer. Related to that, I have with me Commissioner Jeff Brown as well as Commissioner Randy Scott to be able to answer any questions you may have about this piece.
Thank you. Commissioner Director. Have any?
So this equipment is primarily to replace old and outdated rollers that we have in the fleet right now. It'll be majority used on in pothole and in some resurfacing.
Okay. All right. You want to add anything, Commissioner?
No, Mr. Chairman, we just ask for your passage, your support on this so we can update our equipment. Some of our pieces are obsolete, and trying to get parts is becoming a challenge.
Thank you. Councilman Bishop, do you have any comments on this piece?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we fully vetted this for passage, and we recommend it for passage.
Thank you. I do not see any questions. Therefore, ordinance number 1350-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you. The next ordinance is ordinance number 1351-2025 by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the procurement by one or more requirement contracts of the rental of large capacity trucks with operators for the Division of Streets, Department of Public Works for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Works. Director?
Thank you, Chair. This piece, again, is another one of our regular pieces that we do annually. This is to request of the 3 things that we do for resurfacing where we contract out. This is one of those pieces. This is for trucking, for removing, for hauling away our grinding. So I have here Commissioner Scott with me to answer any questions, but specifically, this is a contract that we use for resurfacing, basically.
Thank
and I'll
you.
open that up.
Commissioner, did you have any comments?
No, once again, we ask for your support and passage of this legislation to help us continue our very successful resurfacing program.
Thank you. Councilman Bishop, did you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we vetted this morning and fully recommend it for passage.
Thank you. Councilman Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, to the director. The grindings, where do they go?
Commissioner?
The portion of the grindings will come back to us for recycling in our 3 asphalt recycling machines. Once we get enough inventory, then it will go back to the asphalt plant and be recycled again.
Okay, because someone dumped 3 large piles of asphalt grindings along Waterloo Road between 140th and 152nd. I mean, 3 big piles.
Okay.
I'm like, what is this? I don't know where they came from.
So
These are grindings. These are asphalt grindings.
we'll have our staff look into it. We'll make sure it's taken care of.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, Councilman, do we have anybody else? All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1351-2025 stands approved. Please sign on.
Thank you.
Oh, city, I thought it was, go ahead, you good, I think you're good. City planning?
Wait, let me grab these guys.
Is city planning here? This is for yeah, okay, so this is ordinance number 1354-2025 by council members Welsh, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to amend section 1 of ordinance number 711-12 passed June 4, 2012, relating to designating the East Ohio Gas Company building and garage as a Cleveland landmark. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And tell everybody who you are, Mr.
My
I know
name
we
is-
know, but the listening public
Yeah, I
needs to know.
just, Carl Brunges, Cleveland Landmark staff. As part of our ongoing quality assurance and looking at our old files, we have found a number of our old ordinances that contain some typographical errors, and we are going through and making sure that they are correct. And this one is one of them, and this is all it is making sure that we have the correct information on there.
Okay, thank you. This is relieved by Chairman Hairston. Chairman Hairston, did you guys relieve this?
Yes, we did, Mr. Chair. Fully supportive. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions regarding ordinance number 1354-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1354-2025 stands approved. Next up is ordinance number 1357-2025 by council members Conwell, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to amend section 1 of ordinance number 1861-84 passed December 10th, 1984, relating to designating the St. Aloysius Church as a Cleveland landmark. Director, or Mr. Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Same, in this case, there was, I believe, a permanent parcel number that was incorrect, and then we had to add a legal description to this particular piece of information.
Thank you. Chairman Hairston, do you have any remarks regarding this?
No, Mr. Chair, same, fully support. Ask for your passage. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1357-2025 stands approved. Please sign on.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Human Resources. All of these will be heard for consideration this evening. These are contracts, I believe, contractuals or contract settlements. First is ordinance number 1405-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement with Service Employees International Union, Local 1, and to amend Section 7 of ordinance number 194-2021 passed March 29th, 2021, as amended, relating to salaries for various classifications. Director.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. Yes, this is to ratify the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Cleveland and the Service Employees International Union, Local 1. This bargaining unit is comprised of approximately 140 employees, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions regarding this ordinance?
I just have
Councilman Polinsky?
I don't have, Mr. Chairman, as of this point to the director, how many bargaining units have we settled with?
This will be 22 of the 33,
Okay.
Assuming ratification today.
So we're over the hump?
We are.
Is that what you're telling me? Okay.
That is
Thank
correct.
you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1405-2025 will be heard for consideration by the full body. Ordinance number 1409-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request. An emergency ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement with Laborers International Union, Local 860, non-supervisory unit, and amend Section 26 of Ordinance number 194-2021, passed March 29, 2021, as amended, relating to salaries for various classifications. Director.
Thank you again, Chair. That is correct. This is to ratify the contract between LIUNA, Local 860, the non-supervisory collective bargaining unit in the city of Cleveland. This collective bargaining unit, excuse me, find my sheet here. Let me look here. This collective bargaining unit, here we go, is comprised of approximately 400 employees, but that's actually combined with the supervisors unit as well. So between the 860 supervisors unit and non-supervisors unit, it's 400 employees. Certainly happy to answer any questions.
I had a question.
Councilman Palencic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, my old colleagues. On the minimum and maximum, is the maximum after so many years of employment, how did they get to the maximum?
Through the chair to Councilman Palencic. So that's correct. So they go up in steps. There's a 6-month step. There are 6-month steps all the way up through 4 years.
4 years.
That's correct.
So after 4 years, they would reach the maximum.
That's correct. And keep in mind, too, that the maximum is also through the contract term. So that's the end of the contract term, which would be March 31st of 2028.
And I should ask her, these are all retroactive now?
They are.
So
Yes, sir.
going back to when?
Through the chair to the councilman, it would go back to 3/31/25.
3/31/25. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Correct.
All right. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1409-2025 will be heard by the full council tonight for consideration. Ordinance number 1410-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Local 507, full-time drivers and maintenance, and to amend Section 16 of Ordinance number 194-2021, passed March 29, 2021, as amended, relating to salaries for various classifications. Director.
Thank you, Chair. This is the second the first of 4. Yeah, excuse me. This is the first of 4 of the 507 contracts. This one specifically is through, or with, excuse me, the full-time drivers and maintenance in the city of Cleveland for Local 507. This particular unit, excuse me, this particular unit is comprised of approximately 244 employees. And certainly happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions regarding 1410-2025? Seeing no questions, ordinance 1410-2025 will be heard for consideration by the full council this evening. Ordinance number 1412-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement with International Brotherhood of Teamsters 507 Guards, and to amend Section 9 of Ordinance number 194-2021, passed March 29, 2021, as amended, relating to salaries for a single classification. Director.
Thank you, Chairman. This is the second of the 507 contracts for consideration today. This particular unit is comprised of approximately 22 employees, 22 guards in the city. Certainly happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Seeing no questions regarding ordinance number 1412-2025 2025 stands approved and will be heard by the entire council this evening for consideration. Ordinance number 1413-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement with the Laborers International Union, Local 860 Supervisory Unit, and to amend Section 27 of Ordinance number 194-2021 passed March 29, 2021, as amended, relating to salaries for various classifications. Director.
Thank you, Chair. This is the second of the two 860 contracts. This is specifically for the supervisory unit of Local 860 LIUNA in the city of Cleveland. There are, as I mentioned earlier, approximately 400 employees split between this bargaining unit and the non-supervisory bargaining unit. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I don't see any questions. Therefore, ordinance number 1413-2025 stands approved and will be heard for consideration by the entire body this evening. Ordinance number 1414-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement with International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Local 507, seasonal drivers and maintenance, and enact new section 16A of ordinance number 194-2021 passed March 29, 2021, as amended, relating to salaries for various classifications. Director.
Thank you again, Chairman. This is the third of the four collective bargaining agreements with the Teamsters Local 507. This particular unit is the seasonal drivers. The seasonal group consists of approximately 105 employees at this time. One note, in the original council summary provided, I had put a new section 60 instead of 16A, but upon review, it made more sense to put it into 16A as the seasonal group was removed from 16, which was all permanent employees. So just one quick note, but certainly happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions regarding ordinance number 1414-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1414-2025 stands approved. Last up is ordinance number 1415-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance approving the collective bargaining agreement with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Local 507, utility supervisors, and to amend Section 11 of ordinance number 194-2021, passed March 29, 2021, as amended, relating to salaries for various classifications. Director.
Thank you, Chair. This is the fourth of four collective bargaining agreements for Local 507 Teamsters in the city of Cleveland. This particular unit is comprised of approximately 92 employees. And again, certainly happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions regarding ordinance number 1415-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1415-2025 stands approved. That concludes today's Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion meeting. This committee is adjourned at the call of the chair.